iHeartAdBuilder.com.
There's a lot of misinformation out there, and none of it is allowed here. KFI AM 640 Los Angeles, Orange County.
And KOSG HD2.
It's 5 a.m. What did you miss?
It's time for Wake Up Call with Jennifer Jones-Lee.
Well, good morning. Hope you had a nice long weekend. And, I've been hearing stories. John Ramirez was talking about trying to come back from Vegas on Sunday. I know coming into work this morning, there are a lot of you who thought, I'm going to get an early jump on this and not hit any traffic. I saw you out there, along with everybody else who thought, oh, that's a great idea. I'll get out and about early. Anyway, traffic's little heavier than it is normally at this hour, so we'll see what Robin Banks has to say about it in just a few minutes. But this is what's ahead on your wake-up call the 1st of June. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department says one of its deputies has been killed and a motorcycle rider has been shot dead in Yucca Valley. Travelers made up for lost time over the Memorial Day weekend. Yes, you did. And cops are trying to find some flag bandits in West LA. 5:05, we're going to talk with ABC's Ike Jachi. Now, if Senate Republicans embrace this $1 trillion infrastructure package, it could be a sign that we actually could see a bipartisan deal reached. Yeah, I did say bipartisan, but Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg said over the weekend there were some things he didn't agree with in the Republican proposal, like allocating some funds for COVID relief to pay for infrastructure. So we'll see how this is all going to go down when we talk with Ike in just a few minutes. But let's start with some of these stories coming out of the KFI 24-hour newsroom. A San Bernardino County Sheriff's deputy has died following a high-speed chase and shootout with a motorcycle rider in Yucca Valley. San Bernardino County Sheriff John McMahon says the guy ditched his bike and then ambushed the deputies.
As they approached the motorcycle, they attempted to locate the rider, and the rider started firing at the responding deputies. One of our deputies was struck by the gunfire.
Deputies were trying to pull the motorcyclist over for not having license plates yesterday. He was killed in a shootout with the deputies. Sergeant Dominic Vaca was a 17-year veteran of the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. Travelers made up for lost time over the Memorial Day holiday.
Charles Panunzio with LAX says the past few days have been the busiest at the airport in the past 15 months. Nearly 67,000 people passed through TSA on Sunday, even more people on Friday.
These past few days around the holiday have been about 70% of what we saw for the similar weekend back in 2019.
Panunzio says whether you're picking someone up or flying, plan ahead. Claudia Stefanian, KFI News.
Well, cops are trying to find some... can't say that word. Flag bandits, let's just call them that, in West LA.
Officials say the thieves stole flags from the Los Angeles Cemetery in West LA, including a garrison flag, which measures 20 feet by 30 feet. Officers with the Veterans Affairs Police Department say there had to be at least 3 people involved because of the size of the garrison flag, though they say there was no evidence to point to who might have done it. Volunteers told Fox 11 they noticed the missing flags yesterday morning when they showed up for work, meaning the flags were taken sometime Sunday night into early Monday morning. Steve Gregory, KFI News.
Who does that? Who does that? I mean, that to me feels like much more than just a prank. Hey Bob, let's go steal flags tomorrow. Not a garrison flag. You had to plan with your buddies to go do that. Ugh, just gross. Honoring our fallen has paid respects to the county servicemen and women who lost their lives in the line of duty. The names of active duty military who died in combat after 9/11 were read off yesterday at Rosie DeRiveter Park in Long Beach. One speaker said it's important to remember the sacrifices of the service members.
These are the readings of the names of our brothers and sisters who are no longer standing here with us.
Police, first responders, veterans, and others helped read off more than the 7,000 names. A light plane has made a successful emergency landing on the 101 in Agoura Hills. The CHP says a call came in from the Van Nuys Airport saying a single-engine Cessna was having trouble and it needed to land about 7 o'clock last night. The pilot was not injured and crews were able to get the plane off the freeway. More than 150 firefighters worked for nearly 3 hours to put out a massive fire in a warehouse in Huntington Park last night. The LA County Fire Department says when crews first arrived at the shoe factory, it was fully engulfed. Now, not long after that, The roof partially collapsed, and the department says investigators have to wait for the building remnants to cool down before they can figure out what caused the fire. Insult to injury. It was a shoe factory? I'm a shoe girl. Right, we come back, we're going to talk infrastructure. And can we really see a bipartisan infrastructure bill in Congress? Can we see anything bipartisan? Maybe. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. Right now, let's take a look at your drive on the 10.
Let's go to downtown Los Angeles on the 10 eastbound. Before you get to Hoover Street, two vehicles got together here, so the right lane's going to be blocked for a bit. You're slowing down right around Vermont. Culver City on the 405 north at Washington Boulevard, right there with a car down the right shoulder embankment. So watch for that activity on the right shoulder as they try to get that car back up on the roadway. Irvine on the 405 north at Fort Jeffrey Road, down the right shoulder embankment with this one as well. CHP and a tow truck are on the right shoulder, so that's slowing you down just a little bit. San Clemente on the 5 north at Ave Magdalena. Two-car crash just made it to the right shoulder. And Riverside, 91 westbound just after La Sierra, a car in the left lane and the other in the far right lane. CHP is there on scene. No tow trucks yet. Your drive starting to be affected right around Tyler Street. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm Robin Banks.
5:06 on your wake-up call. KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Ike Jachi, good morning to you. Are you kidding? There's something bipartisan that could happen in Congress?
Can you believe it? Play the lottery because it's a signal of something, right?
That's a great one.
Yeah, right. Well, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, he says he's optimistic about a bipartisan infrastructure deal after the Senate Republicans embraced the $1 trillion package proposal. He says that they're moving in the right direction, but he's still concerned about what they left out. So let's get into it. The White House, they recently presented a reduced infrastructure package totaling $1.7 trillion. They got rid of about $550 billion from President Biden's initial proposal. The Senate GOP, they responded with a $928 billion proposal. Now, Biden said he's going to meet again next week after that informal Memorial Day deadline. So right now, Republicans, they're proposing that roughly $1 trillion package, and they want to spread it over 8 years, something President Biden said he wouldn't mind doing. But it's important to note, their package, it removes things like $400 billion from long-term care and even the money that was going to be used to shore up veterans' hospitals. Now, Biden implied that to the Republicans that a plan in the range of $1 trillion to $1.2 trillion would be acceptable, which is why Republicans were taken aback at the $1.7 trillion counteroffer. Now, Secretary Buttigieg also turned down a GOP proposal to use some funding allocated to COVID-19 relief to pay for the infrastructure package. But Secretary Buttigieg said that those rescue dollars, they already went out to cities, states, small businesses, hospitals, and even schools. And he said he doesn't want to spend those same dollars twice. But some economists, even some Democratic economists like Clinton Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, he said the idea of reallocating unused COVID-19 aid is actually a smart move. He said some of the states don't even need the rescue. So spreading that spending out over the long term and applying it to public investments and increased productivity is the best way forward. Nevertheless, we're seeing two sides actually talk with each other. Senate Republicans, they'll be meeting at the White House again next week with President Biden to see if they can kind of chip away and meet in the middle. So this whole idea of bipartisanship, believe it or not, it might actually happen.
Okay, the only thing that I feel like is the fly in the ointment is when you had the Transportation Secretary Buttigieg say he wants a clear plan by June 7th. And I feel like if you've got these economists who say, wait, let us, kind of sort this all out before we say one way or the other whether the funds are being used or not, putting a deadline on this, if in fact you've got a bipartisan deal that could reach and an open line of communication, I feel like let's not stop that. Let's not put an ended point on that. Right, I'm not saying that obviously have it go indefinitely, but it's just like, wait, let this play out if in fact there might be a real ending that both sides could agree on.
Very true, but at the same time, the Biden administration, they made it clear from day one that they don't want to waste time. They have a lot of things on their agenda, which is why you're seeing these quote-unquote hard deadlines. But you and I both know that there's been a couple instances so far where this administration has put in those hard deadlines. We're thinking, obviously, this infrastructure package with Memorial Day.
and a police reform bill on the 1-year anniversary of the passing of George Floyd. So you're seeing a lot of these hard deadlines. I think it's just the administration's way of saying, hey, listen, keep this at the front of your negotiating minds right now. This is what I want to do. So it's almost as a tactic this administration is using to make sure that the conversation keeps moving forward.
Good point. Ike, thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
All right, take care.
See ya. That's ABC's Ike Jachi. Maybe that is. Maybe that's their game. Maybe that's the way that they play this, is they put these deadlines out there, and then that way they say, okay, we've got at least a finish line. And I guess they say we can always move the finish line if we need to, but at least there's a finish line. But I think when you're this close on something that is this big, and you even have economists from your own side who are saying, you know what? Let us go back and redo the numbers. I'm a big show your math kind of girl. And if they can go back and look at some of this and possibly appease both sides, I hope that they are willing to move that finish line. Let me put it that way. All right, let's get back to some of the other stories coming out of the KFI 24-hour newsroom. President Biden is visiting Tulsa, Oklahoma today to mark the 100th anniversary of the Tulsa Race Massacre. Hundreds of people in the black town of Greenwood were killed over nearly 2 days of violence when the town was attacked by a white mob. 106-year-old survivor Leslie Benningfield Randall says, Bessie Benningfield Randall is her name. She says the anniversary is a reminder that change is needed in the U.S.
We should all be equal, regardless of color, creed, anything, but we're not. That's a big thing in my mind.
He's 106. That guy sounds amazing. During his visit to Tulsa, Biden will tour the Greenwood Cultural Center and meet with survivors of the attack. And from what I understand, there are just 3. There are only 3 survivors left, Leslie being one of them. The NAACP says President Biden isn't doing enough to tackle student loan debt. ABC's Derek Dennis says Biden promised to do something about it during his election campaign.
NAACP President Derek Johnson saying in a statement, while many components of President Biden's budget appear to be encouraging, it fails to address a key issue at the core of the racial wealth gap.
Progressive Democrats, such as Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, have also complained that not enough is being done to fix student debt. An elderly man has been killed and another hurt in 2 separate attacks in Anaheim. Police say the attacks happened in a residential area yesterday, within about 20 minutes of each other. A 70-year-old man who was attacked was taken to the hospital where he died. A 60-year-old man was attacked earlier. He had minor injuries. A 30-year-old man has been arrested in connection with the assault. Police in Anaheim say he was out on bail in a separate assault with a deadly weapon case. Police in Miami say they found the SUV used in Sunday's shooting attack at a nightclub, but they're still looking for the 3 shooters. ABC's Victor Oquendo says people coming out of the club were shot at.
2 people were killed, another 20 wounded. 3 are still in critical condition. Police say some people in the crowd returned fire. The venue had been rented out for a local rapper's album release party.
Investigators say they believe the violence was caused by a social media feud. The Vatican has updated church law to criminalize the sex abuse of adults by priests. Megan Williams says priests and ordinary people who hold church positions can now be charged with sex crimes for using their power to sexually abuse adults as well as minors.
The Vatican also criminalized the grooming of kids or vulnerable adults by priests to compel them to engage in pornography.
The new laws take effect in December. You have 2 things on this one. First of all, how in the world was it ever okay and not a crime for a priest to abuse anybody? I don't care if you were a minor or an adult. Possibly harder to prove if you were an adult, okay, but who cares? Why was this not criminalized before, and why are we waiting until December? Can't we put that into play today? I don't know, maybe there's something in the Vatican when it comes to specific laws and the way that they have to take effect, and maybe there is some Vatican law that they have to go by, but this seems ridiculous. So between now and then, what are you telling me? That sex abuse of a priest on an adult? We won't criminalize it. Happened before December. Ugh. Kayakers have started paddling around the LA River again. Jeffrey Tipton runs the LA River Kayaks. And he says there's been high demand since it was announced the river would reopen for the first time since the start of the pandemic.
People started lining up right away. It took a while to kind of get that final notice that things were going to happen. And once they did, things just lit up right away.
The river opened yesterday, and Tipton says he was sold out on rentals. People can put their kayaks into the river in Atwater Village and Encino. All right. First off, the Dodgers take on the Cardinals again today. And it's your World Championship Dodgers who take on the Cardinals tonight at 7. You can catch every play on your home for Dodger Baseball, AM 570 LA Sports, brought to you by Nutrisystem. Go to Nutrisystem.com/baseball and lose weight fast, all with free delivery. All right, when we come back, I've got the weirdest little group of stories for you. We're going to talk about why restaurant prices may soon be going up. We'll talk Porta Potties. We'll talk milkweed. We'll talk butterflies, UFOs, and Blossom. Robin Banks, it's the weirdest little group of stories I've had in a while. I forgot to say good morning to you and ask you how your weekend was.
Hi, good morning. Yeah, a great combination of subjects. It's sort of like when you go to the grocery store and you have like milk and, I don't know, something weird, and you think, I wonder if the checkout lady's going to think I'm weird. Because
I got milk, and I got broccoli, and I got deodorant, and I got, yeah. And that's pretty much what's coming up.
Good weekend. Finally, the sun came out on a couple of those days. So, swimming with the grandkids and playing with the dog, and it was fun.
Oh, I see how it was. So you swam with the grandkids and you made your daughter work. I see how this works.
That's exactly how that works. All right, let's go to Pacoima on the 5 North at the 118. Maybe a little brush fire here, an encampment fire there. It's on the right shoulder next to the freeway, so we'll let you know how that goes. Downtown Los Angeles on the 10 eastbound just before Hoover, a 2-car wreck in the right lane. You're slowing down at Vermont. In Irvine on the North 405 before Jeffrey Road, car went down the right shoulder embankment, and you'll notice that when you go by CHP and a tow truck are there on the right shoulder. Ontario 60 eastbound just before Grove, wreck with a car that rear-ended a semi. 2 right lanes are blocked. Your drive starts to get heavy at Euclid. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm Robin Banks.
This report is sponsored by Molina Healthcare. For the health coverage you need close to home, lean on Molina Healthcare. Molina has 40 years of experience and covers preventive services, prescription drugs, maternity and newborn care, and more. For details, go to leanonmolina.com. Get the care you need. Lean on Molina.
This is Rob Parker. Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network.
Presented by NHTSA.
In the latest episode of NBA fans acting up, a spectator ran to the court during Game 4 of the 76ers Wizards series. They've been banned and will face charges. A groin strain will likely keep Lakers star Anthony Davis on the sideline for Game 5 against the Suns. The series is tied at 2 games apiece, and the Dodgers rally past the Cardinals to end a 3-game skid. Chris Taylor led the comeback, driving in the bases with a 14-pitch at-bat. I'm Steve Jordan.
There's no such thing as a good excuse for not buckling up. Law enforcement are writing tickets, so why take the risk? Do the smart thing and start buckling up every trip, day or night. Click it or ticket. A message brought to you by NHTSA.
Are you somebody who has a LifeSource Whole House water system, and did you go to somebody else's house this weekend and you noticed that maybe they had a cooler full of bottled water? And do you think to yourself, why are they being so wasteful with all those plastic water bottles? Don't they listen to Jennifer in the morning? Haven't we explained to them how much a LifeSource Whole House water system could change their life? With a LifeSource Whole House water system, your friends could be getting delicious filtered water coming out of every tap in their house. And if you haven't told your friends about it, you need to, because you can tell them, I've got a way for you to be lazy. See, once you call LifeSource, they install one of their LifeSource water systems, and you get to forget about it. There are no filters to change, no maintenance of any kind. And what I think is great about it is not only are you hydrating your body from the inside, but because the LifeSource water system reduces the odor and the taste of chlorine from your water, your skin and your hair are going to benefit too. And with a LifeSource water system you buy directly from the factory, their team is right here in Southern California, where it's been for over 36 years. And speaking of teams, if you're looking to join a growing team, LifeSource is hiring team members in your area. So call LifeSource today and get full service and full confidence in your water. Call them at 1-800-334-5009, 1-800-334-5009, or just visit lifesourcewater.com. LifeSource Water. Taste and feel the difference.
Every time the sun shines in Southern California, which is all the time, I remember how much money I saved thanks to SolarMax technology.
How much have you saved since you switched?
Let's just say that my energy bills are so low now that I am no longer the thermostat warrior in my house. My AC is practically free.
Your family must be thrilled.
Oh, yeah, the family's thrilled. Listen, I'm thrilled. I have saved with no upfront cost. SolarMax does everything themselves right here in Southern California, and that means exceptional quality control and no middleman.
Right now, get SolarMax for only $69.98 a month, which includes a solar panel system and home battery with an APR as low as 0.99%.
This offer will expire, though, on June 30th. Call pound 250 from your cell phone and say the keyword SolarMax. That's pound 250 SolarMax, or go to solarmaxtech.com, solarmaxtech.com. Monthly payment available on approved credit, CSLB number 97204.
I need to tell you guys about this incredible website I found. It's called nuts.com. Who here doesn't like nuts? Nuts.com has pretty much every nut you could ever want. They have white chocolate toffee cashews, bourbon pecans, crystallized ginger, and honey sesame sticks. Now I know those last couple things weren't nuts, but nuts.com isn't just for nut lovers. It's your one-stop online pantry shop. They've got candies, dried fruits, and pantry items like baking mixes, pastas, and more. Now, I got my first order from Nuts.com the other day, and my family tore through that box. I've never seen food disappear so quickly. Delivery is so fast, and most orders ship the same day. New Nuts.com customers get free shipping on your first order at Nuts.com. That's it. Just go to Nuts.com to get free shipping on your first order. That's NUTS.com, nuts.com.
Summer is here, and we're all venturing out more, enjoying the outdoors, long holiday weekends, and taking vacations. So let radio advertising put your business top of mind with customers who are on the move. Get your business on the air now with iHeartAdBuilder.com, the self-service solution for creating and running radio ads. Just click, listen, approve, then hear your ad on the radio. AdBuilder is the fast and cost-effective way to connect with customers wherever they're enjoying the summer. Sign up now at iHeartAdBuilder.com.
If high ping takes you from first place to last place, you're not a bad gamer. You just need better internet. Get AT&T Fiber and get a ping rate under 11 milliseconds and unlimited data. With 20 times faster upload speeds, AT&T Fiber delivers a faster internet experience than cable. Limited availability in select areas. Call 1-877-ONLY-ATT. Speed comparison based on AT&T Internet 1000 wired upload connection speed versus major cable providers 1 gig service with uploads of 35 megabits per second. Speeds vary, not guaranteed. Restrictions apply.
California's had an out-migration of residents to other states. But if you isolate the homeless population moving from other states to California, we're probably seeing the reverse trend. There's an uptick in homeless coming to California, and there's an outtake in people with jobs and with lives leaving California.
John and Ken.
Taxpayers out, homeless there.
Weekdays at 2 on KFI.
Everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. So glad you're with me. Hope you had a great holiday weekend. I'm Jennifer Jones-Lee, and some of the stories we're watching in the KFI 24-hour newsroom. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department says one of its deputies has been killed and a motorcycle rider has been shot dead in a shootout in Yucca Valley. Deputies tried to pull the rider over yesterday because his bike didn't have a license plate, but he shot at them and took off. Sergeant Dominic Vaca was shot and killed by the rider while the deputies were looking for him. He then was shot by cops. And more people have flown through LAX over the Memorial Day holiday than last year. Officials with the LA World Airport say this has been the most traffic at LAX they've seen in 15 months. They say nearly 67,000 people passed through TSA Sunday. They're expecting the holiday travel to continue through today. And as soon as we get those final numbers, I'm so curious to see how many people pass through. News is brought to you by Mike Diamond, the Smell Good Plumber. 5:35, we'll talk with ABC's Aaron Katursky. All right, on one hand, I go, oh no, not another naming and color system when it comes to COVID. But there's a reason behind this. The World Health Organization has announced a new naming system for different variants of COVID-19. Now, at first I thought, when I heard that the WHO said this new naming is in part to make sure that no country is stigmatized. Well, let me put it this way. When I first heard this, I thought, you gotta be kidding me. Seriously? Now we've got to change the name of the different COVID variants. We can't just call it the, India variant and the Brazil variant, whatever. But the WHO says it is doing this new naming to make sure that no country is stigmatized for detecting and reporting the variants. And the only thing I thought about it is we've seen such a huge rise in the number of AAPI violence against Asian American Pacific Islanders after the start of COVID. And after, it became coming from China and the China variant, the China virus and all that we heard. And I thought, if we can eliminate some of that, okay, rename it all day long. Maybe it's not a bad thing. So we'll talk with Aaron about that in just a few minutes. But right now, let's talk restaurants, porta potties, butterflies, blossom, not blossoms for the butterflies, actual blossom from back in the day. We'll start with restaurants. They're going to be raising prices across the country due to inflation. But they've kind of got a lot going on. It's more than just inflation. They say people see an increase in prices of meat at the grocery store. But what they're not seeing is the oil prices. They don't see glove prices going up. And nobody wants to hear that your burger is an extra $1 because gloves now cost more money. But if you think about the trickle-down effect that happens when there's inflation, and inflation across all items has grown 4.2% over the last 12 months, that's the largest increase since 2008, according to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. Now, the General Food Index has surged 2.4% over the past year. And also, think about this. You've got a severe labor shortage. Have you driven around recently? I don't care if it's just when you went to the local, Vaughn's shopping center, and you were driving around. If you look in the windows of most restaurants, and it doesn't matter if it's a chain, doesn't matter if it's the local mom and pop, whatever it is, there are all these help wanted signs. And that also is part of it. There's also increased demand now that more people are eating out often again. High delivery fees for apps like Uber Eats and others. So this is a big reason why. Don't be surprised. Also, I thought this was interesting. Some restaurant owners are making decisions to cut portion sizes or buy smaller versions of their traditional menu items like chicken wings because what is one of the first things we talked about being at a shortage in the last few months? Chicken wings. Speaking of shortages, first it was toilet paper. Now it's porta potties. Here's the thing. Supply and demand for porta potties is going way up. And here's why. All of a sudden, for the first time in 15 months, we are all going to start getting to go to concerts and outdoor venues and whatever it is. Anything that's outdoors, we're going to get to start going to again. Now, there's this, scramble to make sure that there are enough porta potties to go around. And portable toilet makers are facing a double whammy right now. They've got all this high demand, but they've got supply chain issues. And they say that's making it more difficult and more expensive to get the raw materials they need to make the porta potty. And so they say that the portable toilet industry, which includes porta potties, those fancy restroom trailers, waste pumping trucks, and chemicals to clean and deodorize the unit, was growing steadily before COVID-19 hit. But then COVID-19 hit, and who needed a porta potty? Nothing was happening outside. So this industry that was growing, all of a sudden just hit the brakes. And now all of a sudden that they're trying to restart it again, they can't get the supplies that they need to restart it. So there you go. So there's two. There's your restaurants and your porta potty stories. And now let's talk about butterflies. Monarch butterflies. I just saw one in the backyard the other day. More than 30,000 milkweed plants are being planted in California to give those pretty monarch butterflies new places to breed. The Department of Fish and Wildlife and conservation groups are planting milkweeds all along the Sacramento, Feather, and Kern rivers. The milkweed plants are critical for butterflies because they lay their eggs on them. And researchers say a winter count recorded fewer than 2,000 monarch butterflies, which they say is a big drop in numbers. Maybe mine wasn't a monarch butterfly. Maybe it was an imposter. Who knows? An unclassified report on UFOs is expected to go to Congress as soon as today. Check this out. The report from the Director of National Intelligence and the Secretary of Defense is a compilation of military files that previously had been classified. But recently, the military acknowledged footage of UFOs seen by pilots, and they say it's legitimate. It says the pilots have seen what it describes as unidentified aerial phenomena. So what they need to do is, if all of these pilots are saying, hey, Lieutenant Colonel Smith, I saw something when I was up there today, and I'm not crazy. And you got pilot after pilot saying that. You want a report like this to go to Congress because all of a sudden we need to start thinking national security. You know what I mean? Maybe these aliens are just up there flying around doing their thing. These UFOs are just looking down. And as we've joked, they've said, they've looked down at the earth and thought, nope, don't want to go there. That could be, but we also need to get a better handle on what exactly is out there. And finally, who is the next person that will be the guest host on Jeopardy? Actress Mayim Bialik will debut on Jeopardy. So this is where Blossom comes in. You also remember her from, what was the show? Big Bang Theory. She will debut as the guest host of Jeopardy. And they say that Aaron Rodgers will guest host an upcoming episode of Jeopardy as well. And what I thought was cool is Jeopardy has donated, I guess, over $1,000 to its guest host charities of choice. And the amount is determined by the cumulative winnings of the contestant during their weeks as a host. So it actually benefits. So, I'm sorry, did I say 1,000? $1 million. $1,250,125 to its guest host charity. But what I think is neat is it is actually good for the host to have its contestants do better, because in that case, that equals more money for their charity. So very cool. Anyway, I'd like to see how she does. I think she's great. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk with ABC's Aaron Katursky about how we have a new Greek naming system for variants of COVID-19 and why. Why is that the World Health Organization thought we needed that? All that's coming up. But right now, Robin's looking at a crash on the 5.
It's in Commerce on the 5 South at Atlantic. The wreck in the left lane. The delay for your drive right through the 710 freeway. Norwalk, there's a ladder in lanes on the 605 South at Rosecrans. It's going to be blocking the right lane, so heads up to that. Downtown Los Angeles, it's a crash up against the center divider. If you're traveling on the 101 northbound at Mission, you'll see that. In Ontario, 60 eastbound just before Grove. The crash on the right shoulder now, they've moved it from the right lane. It's still giving you a little bit of trouble from about Euclid. And in Corona, 15 northbound before Ontario Avenue, wreck with a big rig has now been moved to the right shoulder. KFI in the sky helps keep you there faster. I'm Robin Day.
Attention, California. New federal funding of $3 billion is available to help more people pay for health insurance, no matter what your income. Couples can now pay $700 less every month. Single people could have comprehensive coverage for $1 a month. And a family of 4 could pay less than $100 a month. To see your new lower price, go to coveredca.com. The sooner you sign up, the more you save. Covered California. This way to health insurance.
Socal Weather from KFI. It's going to be a sunny, warm day today. How's it going to be from the mid-60s to the low 90s? We're going to stay low 90s, upper 80s all the way through Saturday, and we should start to see a cool down on Sunday. We lead local, live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. I'm Jennifer Jones-Lee.
Rick Edelman, #1 New York Times best-selling author and founder of Edelman Financial Engines, takes questions on his radio show.
Hi, Rick. I have a pension and can take it as monthly income or a lump sum. Which do you think is better?
Well, the monthly check is only as safe as your employer's ability to pay it. I mean, that will never rise, so inflation will erode its value. You have no access to the principal, and when you die, the money stops, even if you die tomorrow. So we usually recommend the lump sum. You get to invest the money however you want and generate your own income. You have full access anytime, and whatever's left over goes to your spouse or kids. But for some workers, the monthly option is better, so you should meet with a financial advisor to be sure that you're doing what's best for you.
That's Rick Edelman, founder of Edelman Financial Engines, with his advice on pensions. If you have a personal finance question, Talk to an experienced financial planner at 888-PLAN-RICK or visit rickedelman.com.
Socal is opening back up, and Good Day LA is ready to welcome you back. That's right, moms. They're covering fresh stories just for you and exploring solutions to issues through discussions with community leaders, all while having a little bit of fun. Catch Good Day LA weekdays 4 to 10 on Fox 11.
Employers and employees all benefit by protecting our workplaces from the spread of COVID-19. Take time to learn how you can create a safer, healthier workplace for everyone by visiting saferatwork.ca.gov.
Hi, Greg Hughes here with Hughes Private Capital. Our company offers real estate investment options for you that are built on cash flow, are free of landlord hassles and expenses, and produce the same predictable, consistent return month after month. How do we do that? When you invest with us, you're part of a diversified, secured portfolio of over 1,000 homes in 5 cities and 3 states. And with today's interest rates being so low, now is the time to use leverage with your Hughes Capital investment and earn a 17% return. And one of the best ways to invest with Hughes Private Capital is through a 1031 exchange, where you can sell your investment property, pay no taxes, and never worry about landlord hassles or expenses again. Plus, remember, real estate is one of the most tax-efficient investments out there. We find most investors don't pay taxes for the first 9 years of their investment with us. To find out more, go to steadyinvestmentreturn.com. That's steadyinvestmentreturn.com. Or call us at 888-300-5353. That's 888-300-5353.
Unclog your drain for only $77 with Rooter Hero.
Live. KFI AM 640. Local. And on our radio station.
KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Hope you had a great holiday weekend. I'm Jennifer Jones-Lee, and some of the stories we're watching in the KFI 24-hour newsroom. Several states say they are getting rid of the federal pandemic-related unemployment benefits before they expire in September. 24 states say they're cutting off the benefits within next month, including Mississippi, Alabama, Alaska, and Florida. And also, we're keeping an eye on a building fire. More than 150 firefighters worked for nearly 3 hours to put out this massive fire in a warehouse in Huntington Park last night. It's still smoldering this morning. The LA County Fire Department says when crews first got there, it was a shoe factory that was fully on fire. Not long after that, the roof partially collapsed. The department says investigators have to wait now for the building's remnants to cool before they can figure out what actually caused the fire. Right now, let's say good morning to ABC's Aaron Katursky. Aaron, at first when I heard this last night, it sort of rolled my eyes like, oh, great, we're renaming now COVID variants. But then the more I thought about it, this could be really important when it comes to stigmatizing the way that different variants are looked at, or the violence that we've seen against Asian American Pacific Islander people after, it came out, oh, it was the China virus, that kind of thing. This might be something that's actually necessary.
Well, that's the whole idea from the World Health Organization, Jen. They said that they don't want there to be a stigma attached to any of the variants. They also said that they don't want there to be a misconception that, the British variant is only in Britain, or the India variant is only in India, because, as we know, those variants are spreading around the world. So the World Health Organization is still going to keep the scientific name, B117. That has some important scientific classification for the science community, but for the public, they're going to go with letters of the Greek alphabet. So, similar to the way you'd name, a sorority or a hurricane or whatever, you're now going to hear the alpha variants, the beta variants, and so forth.
Normally, like I said, I'm not a fan of, oh, great, we have to, rename this because somebody, thought that this was a great idea. But in this case, I think that the fear factor that came from COVID brought out kind of an ugliness in a lot of people, and you wanted to be able to blame somebody for the disease that maybe you caught or a family member caught or that sort of thing. And I think it was the fright along with this anger about COVID and things like that that sort of prompted this. And in a way, I'm glad that it's happening, although we're, months and months and months, over a year into this pandemic. It's kind of a surprise to me that we haven't done this sooner.
Well, and so is it really going to catch on? And will anyone know what you're talking about? Like, if we call it the alpha variant, what is it? That doesn't really give you any information. I think the point of origin is interesting for scientists, as is the scientific makeup of the variant. But the World Health Organization is convinced that the public needs a simpler classification, and for just the reasons you say, they don't want the place to become stigmatized. There's also the fear that, it ends up becoming mischaracterized. Like, the Spanish flu had nothing to do with Spain. So, but no one really associates it, I don't think, with Spain, but it's called Spanish flu for some reason. And 100 years later, the name doesn't actually mean much. So I think they're just trying to give a way for the public to understand that there are different variants. Let the scientists deal with the scientific classifications, and then, the public can just sort of be aware.
All right, Aaron, thank you so much for explaining that.
See you later, Jen.
See ya. ABC's Aaron Katursky. I think, too, here's the thing. I mean, it's not, in many cases, you think about Ebola or something like that. We talked about if that was named because of from where it came. So that makes sense on one hand, but we're in a different, that's the thing, we are in a different time and place than we were. Nobody was going around, that I'm aware of, back in the day, trying to find people from where various diseases and viruses came from to go after them, to hate them, to commit violence against them. What has changed today? Why are we such a much more angry society? Do we blame social media? Do we blame conspiracy theorists? Who do we blame? I don't know. Can you point the finger? I don't know. But until we figure out how to stop it, maybe, and like I said, I'm not usually a fan of these things, but maybe this is a good step. However, is it too little too late? And if I get COVID-19B, let's just say, do I really know what that is? But does it really matter if I get COVID-19B or if I get beta or if I get, COVID-19 Delta or whatever? No, I in my mind, I just got the COVID. Let's get back to some of the other stories coming out of the KFI 24-hour newsroom. So, some veterans advocacy groups in LA have argued for the return of deported vets.
I got myself a little trouble back in 2008.
Mario Martinez says that trouble landed him in prison, and then on his release, I showed up to take him away, and since then, it's been a legal battle.
I've been here a long time, and I would love to stay in this country. I'm doing everything I possibly can to fight this deportation.
There are more than 1,000 veterans who have already been deported, and LA City Councilwoman Monica Rodriguez says Congress and the President need to change the law.
This is something that we're advocating a strong change for.
In Fillmore, Chris Ancarlo, KFI News.
Well, Japan has started vaccinating its athletes ahead of the Tokyo Olympics. The Japanese Olympic Committee says about 200 athletes were vaccinated on the first day of the COVID-19 rollout. Just about 3% of the total Japanese population so far has been vaccinated. A number of women tennis players have come out in support of Naomi Osaka's decision to quit the French Open. Osaka says she has depression and anxiety. Serena Williams says she understands what it's like.
I wish I could give her a hug because I know what it's like. Like I said, I've been in those positions.
Other players, including Venus Williams, Martina Navratilova, and Coco Gauff, have all gone on social media to encourage Osaka to get better. Mexico has announced 3 popular clothing brands of cultural appropriation. They've accused them of it. In a series of letters made public last week, the country's Ministry of Culture accused Zara, Anthropology, and Pat Owl of using designs and symbols of indigenous people. Mexican officials say they want the benefits of the designs to be given back to the communities that actually created them. All right, speaking of your community, do you know of a mall? Maybe not right in your neighborhood, but a mall near you, or can you just think of a mall in Southern California that is closed?